over here in Kolkata is basically Skinny Mo's Jazz Club. Like a lot of good jazz shows. We have like our in-house music, not in-house. I mean, he's very well known in the Kolkata circle.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Amit Datta. Like
Yeah,
he
yeah.
also played with
Mm-hmm.
that band. I think Shiva.
Shiva.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Oh, damn. Shiva is like a band I've not heard in a long time, man.
Yeah, like, and it's very tough to find. Like, they have like only one proper compilation release on tape, and it's really hard to come by.
And all these bands are from that one era, right? Shiva, Vayu, Agni, like different genres,
Yeah.
but
Sort
same
of.
era.
Like like one of the very early.
Brahma also.
Even Brahma was the same.
Brahma.
Seems good. You and I both are going to hell for this.
Dude, that's the only one shitty band of all that.
I mean,
So
this
both
is a
of us
question.
after this.
I have a question out to GK here. Did you ever watch Brahma in their prime, like when they were?
Yeah, have a prime, da.
Yeah, bro. Yeah.
Yeah, you
Hey,
did.
wait.
Okay.
One
Even
sec.
I watched.
I'll just come back.
Yeah.
He immediately dodged question when it came to Brahma.
No,
Understand.
dude.
They
I'm not
never had a
saying-
peak.
I'm never gonna lie on. I'm not gonna lie on this, but yeah, the Brahma old videos kick ass, man. Like, I don't know why they turned into
Only
such a
that
shit.
one video, dude, which they made for the
Bomb.
Wukong.
One
Yeah,
more.
Bomb.
that they
That
made it
whole-
sound like good and like somehow that's okay, decent.
But that's
yeah.
Oh my
tricky.
god.
That is
Saw
true.
them live for the first time only like very long time back only I decided, dude, they like sucked majorly.
Aha, yes.
Oh wow.
Like
This is
in
that
2004
old
only I
good.
saw them. Like and I
Wow.
decided, fuck,
Right
this
time
band
for
is
Mr.
fucked.
Lucky.
Like.
Praise
Yeah.
God.
Dude,
This
I
is-
literally deleted the album. Dude.
Hey,
I
yo.
went to the
Oh,
com and
teachers,
deleted
yeah.
that album. It was a mixture of
I grind
Megadeth,
powder.
Metallica, Pantera. You
Yeah.
could easily
I
find
did.
out, dude, it was just rip-offs like from all those bands. Like every song, like.
So how old is that tape, GK? How old is it?
This was sometime in the 90s, I think. Once.
It's a 95, 98 release, no?
90. Man.
Teacher, wearing an
98.
autopsy.
Yeah.
Hey,
Sing the occasion.
Major issues. Technical
Hey,
glitches.
Vezan.
Hey guys. Hey.
Fashionably
Sorry.
late.
Very late.
Fashionably. Autopsy and everything. Manila Road poster behind.
Usual, yeah.
Already. Awesome. Chalo, let's begin.
We haven't started.
We're
No,
waiting
we're
for you.
waiting for you.
Oh
That
shit,
Brahma
I'm
tape
so
is
sorry.
gold. Just before we start, Brahma tape was gold. I mean, that will sell for millions later, couple of years down the line. Yeah.
And then people will ask for that million refund also, da?
Yeah, I swear.
After that.
There's the reason why GK is not selling it. It's not because it's collector's item. Understand. He'll not get the tape back also, he'll have to give refund
No,
also.
I tried giving it away for like the first 15, 20 years. Nobody wanted it. Then I just figured I was okay, fine. I'm going to keep this now and pull it out now and then for like comedy value.
It's basically the
They're
running
a
gag.
horrible band, man.
The running gag of Bangalore people I know.
Yeah.
That's how I got to know. Yes, Brahma is a band because a lot of people back in that time, like all these Bangalore guys, few and far in between who I knew, who I used to like speak to, and then they were like, "Bro, you guys have a very shitty band." I'm like, "Which one?" Go check Brahma.
No, Bombay had lots of shitty bands.
I have to debate that. I will not debate that. Hey, so
Okay, everybody ready to start? Oh? Hey, okay, once you're done with this discussion, I'm going to make some edits and put it on my YouTube channel. Everybody's okay with that, right?
oh yeah.
Yeah.
As long as the batting material like prior to the video starting is not there.
Yeah. Whatever batting happens from this point onwards, we'll keep in the video.
Yes.
Oh, I missed major batting.
No, just the usual Brahma bashing, some other bashing. Yeah.
Something which will not end up GK losing subscribers.
What? No, that happens all the time, Macha. No worries. I will like, oh, Senjutsu sucks and I've lost 5 subscribers.
Did you lose anything after that 1993 like machine head bashing that we did in the last one?
What? No,
Okay,
I don't think so.
So now it is popular opinion.
Okay, all right. Everybody, welcome. Aditya Macha, mute yourself, please.
Mumbai local.
Mumbai local, yeah. Okay, everybody, welcome. So today's discussion topic is our gateway to metal. So bands and albums that really just acted as a gateway to your association, love, obsession with this particular genre. So format, I thought we go one by one. If you have some CDs, tapes, LPs you want to show, go for it. You want to just talk about the bands or albums, we can do that too. Whatever you're comfortable with, no censorship, no need to hold back on anything. Think of every sentence or every opinion as a free hit. If you want to bat, go for it. Okay, and yeah, that's about it. So who wants to start? Faizan, let's start from you. Ah,
Teacher.
okay.
Me?
Shruti is already holding it up. Little closer to the camera there.
Yeah.
Who, me?
Oh, peace of mind. Oh, okay.
Yeah. This one actually I got for like $100, like a roadside stall.
Uh-huh.
Like really, really good. I mean, the first one was technically Peace of Mind. Like, I have like said this a number of times. You guys are probably tired of this, but history students. So I had to listen to Peace of Mind. The song itself. Also listen to Trooper and this one, Die with Your Boots On. Both of these songs, like, really like hit it out of the park. And also I think there was Motorhead, Ace of Spades, uh, among other bands, death metal. I actually have like my favorite. It's still like one of my favorites. I have like other mm, favorite bands as well in death metal, but this is what actually started it off for me.
Oh, which one is it?
Sound of Perseverance,
Aha,
Death.
Oh, okay.
lovely.
This one is like a 2 CD edition, like 1 CD, 1 DVD. It also has like the live in Copsworth on it, the DVD one. And other bands like initially I was into rock, as the trajectory goes, and then I listened to Zeppelin's. One of the later works. There was Achilles, Houses of the Holy. They were like sort of proto metal. Then there was Sabbath, of course, but Maiden was the one that really got me into it. Really, really good stuff.
Hey guys, this is an album. This was my gateway to metal. This is
Um,
Gone
okay.
Issues.
Issues, yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Is that the same tape from back in the day or?
Yeah, back in the day. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And
Nice.
I guess I bought it in 2002.
Oh, okay.
2001, sorry. Yeah.
So exactly during album release, right? I think Issues was 99 or 2000.
Yeah, 99. Yeah.
Yeah.
After that, I bought this.
Indian pressing.
Indian pressing, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Back then, Indian pressing used to like make some crazy tapes, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, like,
Yes.
Like you don't really expect it, but it's there.
yeah, I have one. You guys struggle, I'll get it for you.
Anirudh?
So I guess for me, my like gateways are essentially two genres, right? While I used to hear a lot of these songs in passing, two genres that introduced me to the whole area of metal music were thrash and new metal. Like Charan as well, like new metal and then thrash metal, the big four and everything. And I think in like one of the previous videos I said like Anthrax was my introduction to metal in general for thrash metal, which is my favorite one out of the four for me. Gateway proper. And then in new metal, while I did come across a lot of different bands in new metal like Korn, Limp Bizkit, Deftones, I think this was the album that really sealed the deal for me. The Nothing Face album.
Nothing
It's
Face.
pretty underrated, but something which is just like the best of both worlds. It's got the new metal qualifications as well, but it hits harder than a brick, all the tones and everything. What really like got me into metal was that I felt that the lyrics were more genuine and more honest. One that is one that I could relate to, at least when it came to all these lyrics which are more personal when you think about it, right? Even Metallica had all those ballads, right? Fade to Black and all of these that were more relatable at some point in time, right? It was more genuine and it was more from the heart, which was not something that I was finding in artists like pop artists, like say Katy Perry, for example, and all of those people. Back when I was a kid, that was the boom. Like that sort of music was there all throughout in the radio and everything. So the lyrics and then instrumentation, that is one other thing that really made me fall for it, because back when I was getting into it, like the music itself was transitioning from an instrument based music to more computerized and synthetic sort of music, if that makes sense, right? So I that's what made me relate to metal in general a lot. So this album, The Sound of White Noise by Anthrax, Ride the Lightning by Metallica, key albums for me for sure in terms of gateway bands.
But this album, I would say, was a real gateway to many people here. This is Nativity in Black.
Oh, the second volume.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah, second.
damn.
Nice.
Okay.
I have the exact same copy lying around
Yeah.
somewhere.
Like this was like a major gateway for me to get into a lot of like, you know, extreme metal and heavy metal and all that.
Oh yeah, extreme metal is another cave.
Yeah,
Like
this was a major gate.
Initially, I used to think this was, extreme metal.
Oh,
how
yeah. Countdown to Extinction. Yeah.
Like this is like an HMV version of it. Also got EMI on it, and coolest part is like it still has there used to be like mail orders and stuff. You could just mail it, and they would send you parcels, and you just had to money order stuff. So you still have the Virgin Records slip in
Oh,
it.
that one. Yeah, yeah. I
Yeah,
remember.
yeah. Yeah, there are like three record companies on this. There's Virgin, there's EMI, and finally you have HMV.
I
And
think
it's
that is
also
still continued on, right? Even that 2009 Alice in Chains album had the same thing going on for it, right? Virgin EMI and
EMI, I think stopped completely in 2012. I mean,
so then it makes sense.
initially it went off market in like 2004, if I remember correctly. This was like this one is from 2001.
Hmm.
This particular pressing. You also have like those remasters of Beatles, like the one album, and then you have like uh, a few Beatles for sale, all those 2000 across 2000s till 2004, and then you like don't have EMI at all.
Yeah, makes sense.
Cool. Shashank?
Yeah, I mean, for me, it was more like hard rock and your Queen, Def Leppard, all that kind of stuff that got me into heavy metal. Sabbath's a key influence. Ozzy, yes, but the Dio era taught me, what epic metal is.
Yeah.
Sort of, it's not doomy in its composition. It's very heavy and epic. The lyrics are all about rocking out. And one band that I don't connect with anymore, but I used to really love back then was Kiss.
Okay.
And yeah, that was quite heavy for a 14-year-old or 13-year-old's years, but not anymore. Kind of, I think I've grown out of that. So yeah,
But it's a good jam for nostalgia, man.
yeah, probably
Yeah.
once a while, something like Rock the Night or their songs just don't appeal anymore. It's just about partying and all that. So yeah, it's Sabbath, and Sabbath. Yeah, that's all always has been my entry point. Yeah.
Cool. Faizan?
One of the earliest bands is Iron Maiden. There was AC/DC too, and there was this Number of the Beast. But this compilation, Rest of the Beast,
Oh,
my
yeah.
earliest memories. Nothing of this has remained except for this, but I'm holding on to this for memories. A lot of fond memories with this one. And then within the same space, I had these pirated Motorhead, this 1916. And I also have this bootleg Metallica, some Led Zeppelin. These were still not extreme. My exposure to extreme metal would be while Cannibal Corpse.
Nice.
Okay.
Nice.
But around this time, I was still not into it. I was too young. I used to listen to it, but it was probably a few years later that I started getting into it much more. And around the same time, within the thrash space, I had Slayer, these two, lot of huge influence, I would say, and it has to be my favorite band to this day. There was Nuclear Assault along with that. And oh yeah, let me not forget when Sharon brought up Nativity in Black. I couldn't find it, but I have this instead.
Oh yeah, even I've
Double
got that.
Yeah, reunion.
Yeah.
Yeah, reunion.
Yeah. So reunion
Collector's item, bro.
double tape, yeah.
That actually came in a very nice package also, right? Like I think it had a
Yeah.
slipcase and all when
Yeah, there was a
both the
case,
tapes
correct.
would
Yeah.
There was.
slide into it. Yeah.
Correct.
It
I
was really
can't
cool.
find that, but I think it's there for the CD. Can't find that. These two have remained. And then when we step into a little more extreme, I don't know from where I got this. Let me find that. This was a dub tape. On one side, there's Napalm Death's Come, and on the other side, How Much Ever Malevolent Stillborn Could Fit In.
Oh, okay.
So that's how I found Napalm Death and Malevolent. And there was also Carcass Necroticism, very similar looking. It was written with a pen, but I can't seem to find it now. I'll have to dig deeper. And then a lot of tapes are gone. I'm sure you have been through that.
Yeah.
Friends would have borrowed, but they don't come
I gave
back.
away a lot of them. Yeah. Now I kind of regret it, but all my dub tapes I still have. But
Oh, nice.
all the other tapes that I got, I just gave away to random people, which was a very stupid thing to do now. But yeah, there you
Don't give your records to anyone.
And there is this.
No.
It has a compilation of Sepultura and Obituary. My earliest, again, exposure along with Cannibal Corpse to what extreme metal was, thrash and death.
Nice.
These were my foundation years, I would say.
Cool.
You guys have seen this. This was a major album, live album by Sepultura. The bootleg DVD. So this actually made me get into a lot of thrash.
Oh, okay.
This concert is one of the best, actually.
Yeah.
So I think so there's two records that I'd say which really solidified my sort of journey into metal in general after the aforementioned records of Anthrax and Nothing Face. One which was a bit more traditional oriented and sort of ties back into the whole John Bush era of Anthrax, but this is prior to when he joined Anthrax.
Oh, Symbol of Salvation.
Something that got me into traditional metal.
I would say.
Know about it, right? This album, like, damn, what tracks on this? And it's heavy, it's traditional, but it does not lose steam at all. And I was just like blown away by this. Again, it was more out of a curiosity because I discovered John Bush via Anthrax, and then I got more curious about how his vocals suddenly were like that powerful and everything, sort of backtracking. But and I know, and like eventually when I did find the Armored Saint album, like this completely opened the like doors for me into traditional metal, like say Saxon and Jag Panzer and all of these bands, right? So this is one album which I feel opened the doors for me in terms of old school traditional metal, right? The other album, there's a copy which I got very recently, okay, of the album, but very important in terms of how I got into Sludge, Dopesick by I Hate God. Very essential album for me in terms of what I consider to be like peak or like the perfect definition of sludge, right? And in turn, because this band is very grimy and it is very dirty sounding, right? So this also sort of warmed me up into later on checking out other genres like death metal and black metal also. had I not listened to maybe I Hate God and specifically this record, I don't think I would have really had the bandwidth to go into extreme side of metal like death metal and black and even grind to that extent, I feel.
No, okay, that's pretty interesting. That Sludge was like a gateway to extreme metal. Yeah.
Uncommon for sure, but
that was same for me, I would
like
say.
playability wise, yeah, I would agree on that, because the first time I heard Dope Throne, Electric Wizard, it just forced me to start playing heavier. Right riffs that are slow but sound really heavy, and I don't think these digital distortion pedals could handle that sound. So again, made me explore guitar pedals too, to figure out something heavier. So yeah, I kind of agree with Ani on this. Like, yeah, it sounds good.
There's one more thing, like since quite a few of us have like the Black Sabbath in like influence, and I think I speak for all when we say like Black Sabbath is probably a cornerstone for all of us as people who are into the old school aspect of metal music. And what I really loved about Black Sabbath was the bluesy nature, and that was one thing that really played like a part in me getting into sludge fairly easily than say death metal at the time, because I Hate God and all these guys use that blues scale and abuse the blues scale to like no levels, and the riff that they craft up, it's essentially grimy but it's very bluesy, right? And then they also have the whole hardcore punk sort of like side to them, so that sort of really opened the doors for me in terms of exploring more in the metal genre.
Cool. Aditya, want to chip in? Sorry, Shashak, go on.
One thing that most metalheads miss is hardcore punk and its influence on extreme music, right? All the way from, I think, the UK bands like Discharge or your American Black Flag, Descendants. These guys have crafted that grinding tone. I think that is that what it's called, the very abrasive sound, and they used to play simple beats, no frills. It was quite I think it's like 1 2 1 2 kind of beats, D beats and skanks and all that. So yeah, that's also a very integral part, because once I started out here, I met a lot of punk musicians who used to cover Green Day and all that, but then they had started discovering Black Flag and Discharge and a few other heavier punk bands. So that also seems like a gateway to many people here. Used to be a big topic of discussion when we were young.
Grindcore, you mean?
Gateway to metal also, like a fusion of metal and grind. But yeah, I mean,
the
not
importance of
explicitly metal.
punk is for sure. If we trace how the evolution was happening from, say, Iron Maiden, Judas Priest, that was one path, but it was with the combination of punk and say bands like Hellhammer and Venom. And on the other side, we had Discharge pumping in some influence to bands like Metallica and the birth of thrash. And from there, it further divides into, say, death or black. So I agree with what you're saying. The influence of hardcore punk and the British punk mainly, that's been sort of overlooked now, at least, if not before. It definitely added the abrasiveness to what heavy metal was. It was heavy, but it was not abrasive and extreme until, say, Metallica, Venom, and Hellhammer, of course, but Metallica did take it to the next level.
I think Metallica's sound was also like, say, influenced by likes of Diamond Head and Metal Church and all of that.
For sure.
No, they were influenced by a lot of punk.
Yeah, influenced by punk is there, of course. Even Misfits, for that matter. Like, they did cover Die Die My Darling as well in one of their cover albums.
Correct.
They definitely have that hardcore punk influence. But I think the influences of Diamond Head, Sabbath, and all these also, that mishmash of things is what really got them. And
I mean, most extreme bands like Napalm Death or your ENT, Extreme Noise Terror, all these guys were actually hardcore punk outfits before they started out, discovering sounds that are heavier. And I don't know. I believe I had seen somewhere long back. Napalm Death even used to do proper Crass and Ramones covers before they started out as a grindcore or a extreme metal band. So yeah,
Yeah.
they.
I mean, with Napalm, when they started as a proper punk band, no, then they just
Mhm.
Yeah.
became more and more extreme. Like the term grindcore came later to describe what they were doing. So their sound
Yes.
kind
Yes.
of evolved into that space. With thrash as well. I mean, thrash is basically what Sabbath, NWBHM, and hardcore. So
Yeah.
that
But I
but you
think
take
this
away
was the
hardcore from
album.
thrash, and it's not thrash anymore.
Yeah, this was the
Yeah, I
album, I
agree with that.
guess. So it's responsible for
Um,
everything.
Kill 'em all.
Kill
Yeah.
'em all.
See,
Yeah.
that's the
Amazing
thing,
Yeah.
album.
right? Like thrash metal in itself, the genre was not coined at least until that Fistful of Metal album was released. And that was also because one of those critics in that Fistful like of Metal album sort of called it thrash metal because of that metal thrashing mad song.
Hmm.
Ah,
Right? Before that, it used to be considered as heavy, maybe speed. I'm still not sure on the speed part whether it was considered back then. But that opened the doors for like all these bands suddenly coming under that, like, yep, we play thrash metal and everything. But prior to that, I think everyone was just like, we want to play metal which is faster than what is
no,
this.
you're right. It was called speed metal those days. They never used to call it thrash.
Yeah.
Later, the term they coined that.
I think
The
Megadeth
term
also
comes
like
in
covered this
after
one
the
Punk
genre is
album.
actually formed, usually.
What?
So that makes sense. I'm saying, usually, after the genre is formed, it is only, say, a few, after a certain time, the
The
label
fans
gets,
only come
Yeah.
up with the
it gets a
genre.
label.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I remember when we
Sorry,
first
someone,
heard
I cut off someone.
Soulside Journey, Dark Throne's
Dark
album
Throne.
here, we just thought it was death metal with terrible production, right? We didn't even have a concept of something called black metal or that black metal even existed. And then much later, we were like, okay, fine, this is black metal. Marduk is black metal. So yeah, I get what you're saying. And yeah, but what we were always like 4 5 years behind everyone else, I think,
Yeah.
at least before the internet.
Hmm.
I think besides Mayhem, my like one of my first journeys into black metal would definitely be incomplete without this.
Oh,
Battery.
Patrick.
Okay.
Huh.
Yeah, like I mean, I heard Dark Throne a lot later. Initially, it was like Mayhem, but mostly Battery. The self-titled one. And then I heard Death Crush. The first Mayhem EP, I mean album, I think was Death Crush, and then it was De
That was the
Mysteris.
EP, I think, with Maniac on vocals, no? Oh.
No, 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 it was Dead. Death Crush one, right?
Death Crush had Maniac, no? Or was it Dead?
Death Crush Maniac, yeah.
Death Crush was
Oh yeah,
Maniac.
yeah. Sorry.
Demos were
Yeah,
taken.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, I mixed it with Live in Leipzig. Leipzig one was Dead. I mean,
Yeah.
my favorite version of Freezing Moon has to be like from the Live in Leipzig version. I mean, that's top. And then you have like a lot of other. There's this 2004 Wacken one. It also has Freezing Moon. But yeah, would have loved to seen Battery sometime, but it's not possible. So is Dark Throne.
GK, what about you? Like,
Oh yeah. So first thing into hard rock, I guess, was this for me from pretty much my dad's collection. So this is
Oh,
like
I love that album.
first Deep Purple album. Absolutely loved this album even today. And this was what pretty much got me into hard rock. Then Alice Cooper, then Hendrix, and then it was Master of Reality. Just that cough at the start was what got me. There used to be a compilation tape called Sizzling Metal, and it had Black Sabbath, it had Nirvana, it had Cream, and for some reason it also had Dire Straits' Walk of Life.
Oh,
right?
okay.
So, and it was called, the comp was called Sizzling Metal, released here only with one of those big box tapes, which I also gave away. But yeah, that was where I heard Sweet Leaf for the first time. Absolutely blew my mind. And then a few years later, uh, I saw
When
Fear
was
of the
all
Dark.
this? Fear the Dark.
This was 91. I was about 12, 13. Then 92 was Fear of the Dark. This was, I had no idea what Maiden was, no idea what the sound was like. It was only the album art. I was like, what the hell is this? I want to listen to this. And begged my folks to get, we'd just gotten a CD player, which is like a really big deal back then. We used to have like CD lending libraries and all in the early 90s, which were like super expensive, so couldn't afford that. But then begged my folks to convince an uncle from Chennai to get me this CD. So that was my first CD, Fear of the Dark. And yeah, 13 years old, it scared the shit out of me. I was like, what the fuck is this? And yeah, it took like a couple of years. I remember when I saw the Countdown to Extinction tape as well. That was maybe like a year or so later that HME put that out. By then, I was sort of used to Maiden. I'd gotten into Metallica, got that Countdown to Extinction tape, and I was like, fuck this shit. This is too heavy for me. And I went back to the shop and returned it the next day. So, yeah, it's been like a long journey. But yeah, Maiden, Sabbath, uh, Metallica, Master of Puppets. Those are my three main gateway bands. Yeah, Megadeth came a little later. And after that, I met Vic when I was in ninth standard. And that was when death metal started happening. So he gave me a ton of death metal. Actually, I should have got all those tapes, but yeah, all dubbed cassettes, 90-minute tape, once two albums on each tape, and that was where I got uh, Obituary, Napalm, Morbid Angel, all the Cannibal Corpse. So yeah, and that was after that there was no turning back basically. But yeah, 92 to 95 was I would say totally amazing. Oh yeah, and also I think 10th standard HMV put Crimson Idol out on tape, and there were about three of us in school who would listen to metal, and we were like, "Wasp, what is Wasp?" And what does it stand for? And it was like, "We are sexual perverts." And then we were like, "Fucking hell, we definitely have to listen to this shit." And I still love that album, like totally, absolutely love it. But yeah, like very important albums growing up. Yeah.
I think the gateway aspect of it really depends on which era you come across it, right?
Yeah. Yeah, totally.
The more classic stuff like Maiden, Megadeth. I think even Faizan discovered it through thrash and everything. By the time I got in, it was more through thrash again. I think thrash has always been like that.
For me, it was Maiden first. Maiden, I would say. And then it was thrash and death. Oh yeah, and GK said the album that scared the shit out of him when he was 13. I have a similar experience with this and Legion.
Oh fucking hell!
It disturbed me for I don't know how long. So those two albums, the title track of Seventh Son and Torn from the Womb from the same album, Mental Funeral, I remembered that that screwed me up for a while. Scared the hell out of me. I stayed away for a while, but I wanted to go back again. But I remember, disturbed me.
Yeah,
major.
Totally. I think similar thing, not so much with Deicide, but when I heard Herein After the first time, and then we used to Xerox all the lyrics as well from the CD that we were getting the cassette from, and reading the lyrics. I think what Jesus didn't die for you, Jesus just died. I was like, holy shit, are you allowed to say this kind? All of this. That was like really disturbing. I wasn't particularly religious or anything, but it really, really got me. But yeah.
It's very abrasive because no other music really goes to that lens, when you think about it, how unfiltered a lot of the lyrics are in metal music in general. It's like one of a kind in that sense. No other music does that.
Yeah, that's true.
I remember like I went back to school after a long time. It was like a Christmas event, and mm, folks from other cities would come in and be like, let's go to school and have some fun. It's not like we had fun or anything. It's just sort of a ritual thing. It was like 2021 or 2022, I think, and like I went. I was from a Protestant school, so I went wearing. It was not like intentional or something. I had a leather jacket on, and beneath it was like a behemoth T-shirt, and you have this upside down cross, and the people got kind of shit scared. They're like, "What the fuck have you done? Why are you wearing this? We can't take a picture."
After that, though,
Huh?
you made to stand upside down.
No, no. I mean, few people used to listen to metal black. Like, I had this one other person in school who was my senior who used to listen to metal, and got some good recommendations from him, and that's it. But it was mostly me because people were much into like your general pop and rock. Uh, the hardest they would go is like Linkin Park, and that's it. I mean, Linkin Park is great,
I
no
think even
doubt.
Linkin Park, at
Fantastic
least
band.
generation, like proper gateway, because like that
Yeah, absolutely.
everywhere, right?
Yeah,
And all
Yeah.
these movies, Transformers and whatnot. As a kid, I used to watch, and then I was like, oh damn, what
yeah,
is this? Because
It,
aside from that, you had what, like pop music, Green Day, and Green Day by then was not like Dookie levels Green Day, right? It was more of
not really.
normal pop punk sort of thing that they, sorry for
Yeah.
that term,
Green Day
but
post.
pop with some sort of things like influenced, which they were marketing as punk, and
Yeah,
that itself was like
And you
too
were
soft.
talking about the gateway bands being different and different. Sorry, I cut you off there.
No.
Finish it.
Go ahead.
That's where like Linkin Park to that effect was probably the most commercially successful band in the new era, I think. Also ended up serving as a gateway for a lot of the people, I think. For
yeah,
me, it
I
took
mean,
time, as I said, because uh, while I still saw them across all these movie soundtracks and everything, as I said, like that Nothing Face album was where I really was like, whoa, what is this? Right? Otherwise,
Are
a
you
lot
talking
of
about Voivod Nothing Face or the band Nothing Face?
No, the band Nothing Face.
Why What
Okay.
Nothing Face was more of a deep dive after I went into the whole thrash metal cycle. So I can't really put them as a gateway for
Oh
me.
fuck, you
Ah,
have it on tape.
Oh, damn.
the old one.
that's the old
Fucking
one,
hell.
I don't
or
know. I don't know what condition it is in. I haven't played
Huh.
this in a long time.
Wow.
I'll
I
clean
pull
it up
out the
and see.
copy. This guy comes up with the OG godfather of what should be Nothing Face.
Yeah.
So no debates there. But yeah, I think that's the whole
Oh
thing,
yeah,
right?
I found this also. It was all Aussie dub tape on one side. It had also
ah,
had some Sabbath.
Oh, okay.
nice.
I don't know what cassette this was. Okay, anyway.
We
so
gotta play that.
when when you spoke about different eras and different gateway bands, it also boils down to a few other things. You have the atmosphere that you're growing up in. That also matters a
Yeah,
lot, and the city that you grow up in. Because
absolutely.
if you're in Bombay, Bangalore, Chennai, you're naturally exposed to rock music at a very young age. 7, 8, 9 years
Yeah.
old, you would see rockers going around, and even your home atmosphere matters a lot. Like personally, I used to listen to Linkin Park and stuff just to rebel against my dad. He used to listen to a lot of classic rock, and my ears weren't matured to understand the nuances there. And Linkin Park was just heavy, harsh, and they just having lyrics which matter to you as a teenager. So yeah, those things matter as well when it comes to a gateway band. Similarly, if you see, Bangalore had always this Sunday jam happening once a while.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that was a pretty good gig. As a kid, when you go there, you don't know anything about heavy metal, but then you start seeing, uh, I think, guys in their 20s or 30s, around that age, playing like really heavy music. So
Yeah.
yeah, you're intrigued. Yeah.
No, but also Linkin Park, I think till the vocalist died,
Chester.
I had no
Just
idea how much of an impact that band had. Suddenly it was like this explosion of grief, right, when he died. And I was like, that was when I realized that, okay, this band is like really important for a lot of people.
And the thing is, that same year it was like followed by like that suicide was like followed by Chris Cornell's death itself.
Yeah, few months ago. Yeah, they were friends only, Chris Cornell and Chester.
Yeah, very good friends. Yeah,
incidental this thing that happened. But see, that's the thing, right? Like I remember distinctly, like when we used to and you get these buses, right? So even people who were not into metal or rock at all, right? These guys were listening to a lot of pop, EDM, and all that. EDM was just starting to get in and around that time. All that don't remember the artists, but even then, everyone still listened to all these like Linkin Park songs, and those first two albums really stayed for like a good decade or so.
There's
before
there's a pub in Bangalore called Watson's. It's like your old school Bangalore pub, mainly 80s, 90s retro music. Every Saturday they'll drop that Linkin Park, what is that big hit song of theirs?
In the end.
In the end. And the place just explodes. Like you see these kids till then they've been vibing on hip hop or whatever other pop music, but when that song comes on, the entire place, like a few hundred people, just go crazy. So yeah, I mean that band has appeal across the spectrum, I think.
Yeah, I would, however, like agree with like Shashank on the city debate, like where you belong from. It actually like I grew up listening to a lot of Bengali songs because come on, but there are like couple of good Bengali metal bands from the other side, Bangladesh. You have like good ones over here, but I personally, the two names that I used to hear a lot back in the day, even now as well, was Beatles and Pink Floyd. So, and even now, if you like go out, search some junk, somewhere, in Chandni Chowk or other areas like, old rusty cartons and whatnot, you'll definitely find some copy of, a Beatles a tape or a Pink Floyd. Like, I have like
I
a
have
pretty
this handy here.
rare one.
Guma Guma.
Oh, wow, nice. That's one that you do not find a lot. I mean,
this
Faizan can start a tape store.
an old one. I don't know. Again, must be in a terrible condition.
And Shruti can be Shruti Distro, Calcutta Distro or something. Finding these CDs.
There's this one, overpriced what's Calcutta Records or something, selling this Evangelion CD for like 1,500. Insane. Yeah, insane. Like I have an Evangelion cassette I would like give off for free as a gift to anyone. It cost me $30. Send me your address, I'll send you. I would have sent it to Faizan, a lot of, big tape head he is, but has a lot of cassettes, I would want to
seen a
steal
big
from him.
resurgence though, I think in recent
No,
years.
I mean,
I
these are
prefer
all the old ones.
Is Evangelion Behemoth? Is that the one you're talking about?
CDs is where I have my Max collection on, and then tapes and LPs. Most of the tapes are old, some are new, but I'm a little hesitant to go all out on tapes now. I still buy them, but there's a lot
tapes
of
are actually very hard to maintain. You have to demagnetize your tape heads and all, and then you have like the added issues of sometimes your reel will come out and then you have to like poke it back in, use a pen or pencil.
I'm
And
fine with those things, but it's the longevity, the fungus, and the deterioration.
And that also depends on the climate, right? Like India in general is
absolutely.
a big part.
I was fortunate enough to find this one. This is like a pretty rare thing. You don't get to see that. It's like this is a slipcase pulse tape, like the only pressing that there was in India.
Oh, that Floyd live album, huh?
Yeah. So it's like a two tape thing, two cassette, and it was like what $175 back in '95. And this one I found lying around in another shop. It cost me like $40. Got it home, it was 40. Even if it did not play that nice, I could just put it off as show. Played really nice, like almost near mint. There were no scratches, nothing,
That's what is
no
surprising.
beeping noises,
Usually,
nothing at all.
the old ones don't play well.
Yeah.
Some of them do, but unless they're maintained. But if they're not, they sound bad.
What is like? What are these gateway bands? I think.
Oh yeah, let's resume that.
Oh yeah, my journey is a little bit weird because I've always had metal in some form in my life, right? I grew up playing a lot of racing games, so Burnout, Need for Speed, Gran Turismo, and they always had metal bands. I think Gran Turismo had, I think they had Priest, and I think one game had Sabbath. Need for Speed had amazing bands. They had Disturbed, they had Avenged Sevenfold, all those bands. Right. So I knew what metal was, but never got into it until lockdown came.
Oh, okay.
Right. I was in some random village near Kolar. Like people who from Bangalore will know Kolar.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
I was there with my grandparents. I was like, "Chalo, kuch karte." And one of my friends who had only went to school for 1 year. He was a very big Linkin Park fan. Like he would always bug me, yeah, listen to Linkin Park, listen to Linkin Park. I was like, yeah, God, I'm not interested because back then I was into EDM. Right. So then I went to YouTube one day and I just searched metal playlist. I clicked on a random one and they played the entire Magma album by Gojira.
Oh, okay.
And I was sitting there for an entire. I listened to I think 2-3 songs into Silvera and Stranded, and I was like, dude, what did I just go through? मतलब मेरे दिमाग में एक switch flip हो गया. And then I went through the entire Gojira album like discography in one day. एक दिन में पूरा हो गया. So and then I started with groove metal bands. So I went from Gojira to Lamb of God, Trivium, those sort of bands. Then I went back when I went back to play a lot of my older NFS games. I was like, yeah, this is metal. I really like this. ये band कौन सा है? That I discovered Disturbed, Avenged Sevenfold, bands like that. So yeah, and then obviously I got into thrash. I think every metalhead goes through their thrash phase where they're discovering this thrash band after thrash band.
No, that's good to know because I thought for a duration, at least most of those who got into metal, there was one particular duration. I think the last 5 years or so. I thought they skipped thrash, but it's good to know that it goes through thrash.
After my groove metal phase, it was thrash metal. I got into Megadeth, especially through Souls. Adult Souls and Countdown to Extinction, those two albums. And then this all happened, and then came BOA 23. And me and my friends were like, dude, we have to go to this event. This is the big event happening in Bangalore. So I think that's BOA was what switched. Well, made me look into Indian bands more instead of only the international stuff. So we had to come all the way from Kengiri down to almost near airport for this thing. So we missed Amorphia actually, the first band. So then we were like, chalo Godless dekhte hain, ye kya hota hai. Then the moment Godless played, me and the two other guys I came with, we were just standing there like this for the entire set. I still remember.
I remember I was like that for Immolation.
For the first time I watched Godless, he was just standing there with a mouth open for the entire set. And then that's when I got my first two CDs, the States of Chaos and what is this, Swarm. The EP and the album. These are the first CDs I ever got.
Awesome.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, that's how I got into metal. So groove, thrash, and then everything else. Prog, metalcore, everything in between.
I think thrash will always be the constant for everyone, especially because like whoever
the
band, I think Metallica in that has played a very, very big part because people discover Metallica the most, followed by Megadeth, or it can alternate between Megadeth and Slayer, right? Depending on who you ask. But Metallica has always been that one like constant, whether you come across them through that load reload era or the Death Magnetic era, or even I met like some new kids in a recent show that I played. They were like, we discovered this band, like first show and everything. They were like our favorite. Like we came across Hardwired, I think this 2016 album of Metallica, and that was like their introduction to thrash and everything. And then they suddenly went back into checking all those albums. And that really makes you realize whether you like the band or you hate the band's later material or whatever. It due to that band, I feel that thrash in general will remain in like the constant dictionary of every metalhead across the
I
board.
think it should also go a little deeper into that and go into, say, Creator, Sepultura, and those bands. And I'm sure we all will agree that there should be a stop of Black Sabbath, which they should pass through, and maybe, of course, Iron Maiden, Judas Priest, and Motorhead. Not just at a surface level, but
especially
a little more, because that. Sorry, someone was saying something.
No, go ahead.
No, that's what I was saying. After you're initially exposed through whatever band it may be, you will definitely go through Metallica, Megadeth, maybe Slayer, and it should happen. But after that, it has to, in my opinion, go through the foundation bands. That is Black Sabbath, Motorhead, Iron Maiden, Priest, maybe even Saxon, and then build your way up to understand how the genre evolved and unfolded. I'll give you an idea of what it says, where it came from, and why it went where it did.
Absolutely. Agreed there. I think there's one very important album that I forgot to mention, which is, I think, one of like a primary play in what my influences are as a vocalist as well. And it's this one. In Flames, Horacle, melodic death metal, either melodic death metal gods. And this was actually the 97 first press. So like exactly like the whole thing. And a little bit of a struggle to get this one, but well worth it. And while as like we were going through the whole trajectory from thrash to the basics and everything, right? In Flames, Jesper and the guys, they wanted to fuse the riffing of Iron Maiden with while keeping the death metal elements to it. If that's how the whole melodic death metal scene started, right? Mixture of Iron Maiden's melodic side, melodic heavy metal side, and then fuse it with death metal, right? So this was the first time outside of the I Hate God one where I heard proper growls per se. I Hate God vocals are still more in that semi-cleans and the down and dirty vocals, but this is where I heard the growls part first, right? And this album opened the doors for melodic death metal and whatever followed after for them. Very important in my opinion as a foundational album if you're diving into the genre of melodic death metal. Along with Slaughter of the Soul by At the Gates, Gallery, all of that. Soilwork, early albums, right? I think this is easily a landmark album in that scene. And one of those inspirations which I took when I was making my own vocal style to sing for my bands.
And then speaking of In Flames, I would say there were a lot of bands I really liked, again, listening to metal, discovering it. But I think Clayman by In Flames and Gesture Race are the two albums that made me think that okay, nahi, abhi bas sunne se kaam nahi chalega. I have to learn how to play this. I need to get a guitar and stuff like that. So I think within a week of me first discovering Clayman, I came back to Bangalore for a break from college, and I immediately started begging my parents like guitar dilwa do yaar, I'll learn, मैं सीख लूंगा किसी को online videos देख के. And then we went to music store and I got my first guitar, an SG. So yeah, that's how my Clayman is what and Justice is what started me playing guitar rather than just listening to metal.
I think this album also sort of plays a role in me discovering the whole concept album thing, right? Because this album, it's a concept album about like a dystopian world and how it went into that. And this was where like my mind was blown as to, there's like storytelling in this album. Like not in like a general abstract manner, like one song is a story, but like each song is playing a part. And this is what made me dive deeper into and discover albums like Abigail, Operation Mindcrime, all of those, right? So it's a bit of a reverse trajectory, but this is where I got to know that there's something like a concept album. And then I also saw Indian bands later on down the line, Albatross, who did the whole thing with the concept album thing. I think this is also something where I took some inspiration and got more into that aspect of metal music, lyrically.
We tend to miss out the local band's influence. For me, it was Grosty, Jin, watching you guys and like playing alongside, that also shapes your thinking as a musician, because not always you get everything right off when you start out. And
Absolutely.
sometimes you have to engage in conversations and meet people also. And even though I believe most of us come from the internet generation here, like internet was pretty
Absolutely.
prevalent by the time we turned 15, 16. Still talking to people who were from the tape generation or your CD generation, we tend to learn a lot. And
Mm-hmm.
watching the bands live, right? Like local acts. So yeah, that also makes an impact. In fact, Jin playing in garage. That was such a
Yeah,
playing at the garage jam. That's a small, I don't know, shitty basement, and you have some really good quality bands playing there. No entry fee. You can walk in for free, and yeah, you can witness some great acts and get started out into metal too.
yeah. That garage jam scene was damn good, dude. I remember watching Grimmage there and being like blown away by you guys. Really cool stuff. I think we did one gig together, no? Yeah,
A couple actually,
couple.
if I recollect, I mean, two or three of those.
Huh.
Those were there was a kick-ass doom band from Bangalore, Witch Doctor.
Oh,
I
Yeah,
don't know
yeah,
where those
yeah.
boys are right now.
yeah.
It was Witch Doctor, Jin, Grimmage. Maybe the bigger budget gigs, like the pub gigs, would have Dirge or someone of them playing.
Huh.
I think
Yeah,
Dirge was even starting off just back then, right? 2014, 2015-ish. This is what I'm assuming.
No, 2014, 2015. Yeah, I
Dirge was in
think
2014.
Baversi was big in Bangalore.
Yeah, Bevasi was
yeah,
big.
they were
Huh.
big. Yeah,
Abish had just released everything.
Huh.
yeah.
It's very funny that you said Gin and Miskatonic because quite literally, I think, and I've said this before as well in our conversations, Gin was
Mhm.
the band that introduced me to doom metal in all like general this thing. Reason being,
Yeah.
this was when I was getting into Indian metal in
Cool.
general, right? And I wanted to collect CDs. So I had started collecting CDs. So Armored Saint, I had gotten their like I bought their 2010 album La Raza and all of these. And I was like these albums are not cheap, right? Back then, not knowing Discogs and Amazon, it was charged like costing a bomb, right? And I was like, are there any Indian distros that are selling? And back then, I think I got a text from Kunal, who runs Transcending Obscurity Records, and he was like, there's some distros here, and there's my label also who's like selling and all. And after a few conversations, I ended up going to his place in Juhu, Lokhandwala, right? Back then, Albatross's album was releasing, Fear from the Skies. And mainly I'd gone for that. And I ended up getting like, back then he used to do this like buy three, get one sort of thing free. And I ended up buying Forever in the Realm, Fear from the Skies, the Zero Gravity album. And I got one, The Dead, yes, Dead Steps to Oblivion.
Oh, the
All
Australian band.
albums. And I come home, I spin Albatross, knowing what exactly it is because I'd heard the lead up sort of thing, like songs here and there that were there, and knowing what the sound is, right? And after that, I'm like, okay, chalo, let's try something. Like, I got the CD, and I have no clue as to what doom metal is, right? Black Sabbath is something that I know exists, but for me, Black Sabbath was heavy metal at the time, right? A lot of doom bands have Sabbath as a main influence,
Yeah.
correct? So from there, it sort of goes into uh, like I didn't know that they were a primary influence for Doom at the time, right? And I just pressed that CD inside the CD player, and that whole narration by JP starts in 7 Year Witch, and I'm like just thinking, what is this? Suddenly it's sounding so like sinister and everything, and it is slow, right? It's slow, it is menacing, and it is like the starring feeling, and then the vocals hit, and then the riff is going in synchronization. Like that album till this date has not left my CD player. I've almost worn it off by this time. Forever in the Realm has to be that sort of an influence for me. As far as local and in a general way, Doom.
That
Wow,
was
you're making me emotional,
2011.
Machan.
Was that 2011? 11 or 12?
No. So
This
I entered
was.
the Indian scene around 2013-14. And I think this was a time when Janan sort of briefly disbanded also. And then
Yeah,
got
we put the album out, then we broke up. Then
hmm,
Casey made us. Casey basically rejoined us.
yeah.
Yeah.
So Doom as that was like if you look at it, like my whole trajectory is very messed up. like thrash, new sludge, and then going into the whole doom part of it. Because sludge and doom are kind of like sister genres, but it's very specific type of sludge which will sort of fit in that doom umbrella. If you look at it, like sludge and stoner goes more hand in hand sometimes, right? So bands like Monster Magnet had that fuzz, and then more bands incorporated that sort of stuff. But proper doom was Jin for me, like clean sound, towering presence, and that made me go into bands like Cathedral and all later on. So that was my thing for doom as well.
Also, unrelated question, like, people from Delhi or with good idea about bands and stuff. Have you guys heard of this one? Like, band is called Orange Street.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
I haven't. Interesting.
Yeah,
These guys were quite big late 90s, I guess, when Rock Street Journal used to still put out like a print edition. I remember Orange Street used to constantly get featured in the mag. So I remember listening to a couple of songs, but I've never heard like a full album.
I like this. The frontman was a Bengali.
Yeah.
I mean, he's still alive. I mean, I came across this in like this one shop over here in the city. It used to be pretty famous for music shit. So I came across this. It seemed pretty interesting, and then it just won't play. I don't know why. Some sort of tape jamming or something is off.
Oh, okay.
I I haven't found like any links on YouTube and stuff. So no, like there's no clue that what kind of music this is.
They should have something on YouTube.
If not, I think there's like Indian bands hub thing also on the internet. It's a blogspot sort of thing. That should have some info.
Yeah, that is how I actually found out. Like these guys have put out like a very detailed. They don't have song lyrics or anything. They have just said thanks to multiple people. Some Chinese joined in Delhi, then like someone's aunt and stuff. Lot of writing is there, and also like there are a couple of annotations as well. So I'm not really sure what to make out of this.
Is that
doesn't
album
really
called Candy Walk?
Huh?
What is that album called? The cassette?
Drive carefully for our shake.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It's got an orange, and then you have like 4 people on like this animated car driving through the universe, and the planets are oranges.
Oh.
Dude, Ram, like, what was your gateway?
Mine is totally messed
Silent
up.
member.
It's not related to anything metal at all. So probably out of the whole gang, right? I'm probably the latecomer into the scene around 2018 or something. So like like you being in Kerala, you don't get access to all the physicals, like the early days, So I was all like after the internet, getting some random stuff. It might be like psychedelic music. It might be EDM. It might be something random. So probably what interested me was kind of I'm from very like the electronic music time. So I think I have like affinity towards the electronic music as well as the stoner stoner rock or doom. So that's how like it went all together. Like it's like if I'm stoned at some point I'll rather take some stoner rock or I'll switch on to the EDM part. So in the EDM itself, I found a couple of bands, doing remixes of Metallica or, like Zeppelin. So that's how, I kind of, got, interest towards, exploring more about uh, the Metallica and all. But definitely, even that wasn't enough for me to get into metal as such. I think the point was when I discovered Deep Purple again. So I think it was again in 2012 or something, Highway Star. Again, it's not album based. I just got random tracks here and there. I always, used to listen back to back to the Deep Purple. Plus, I had the stoner rock doom going on together. So, and it's a weird combination. Again, I'm not sure. I know you might be aware of a genre called the dubstep, right? So dubstep had something called, like a metal step, where they kind of, brought the dubstep and the metal all together to make it some kind of a called metal step. All this kind of, all together, like Linkin Park from my side, probably as you guys mentioned, all the metal remixes, the Deep Purple, um, then all the metal step, everything, finally I wanted, something, sounding very heavy. I think on that basis, I can tell, Rotting Christ was my, the prime thing. I can say, that's how I got totally interested into metal. Probably like doomy, like the riffs, the black metal riffs, right? I didn't know anything about thrash, black, anything or something. So Rotting Christ, I just, explored it. I loved it. I thought, okay, I should get more of it. So then I found into Gorgoroth. So that's how, I started my metal journey. But yeah, it's kind of, I can't say a perfect example of what my the gateway band is, but yeah, I can probably, my answer would be kind of Rotting Christ because yeah, that's my first CD as well, and that's how I started my collection. Yeah.
Cool.
So I could
Very
just
extreme
pull this out. This is the first CD I did ever own. I don't know if you're able to see. Yeah,
okay.
Brujeria, I think there's a blur that's on.
Acha, your screen is like auto censoring the album art.
Yeah, I guess now it's clearer. This is the one.
PG approved.
This, yep, and yeah, extreme music's fun. I mean, when you get into collecting CDs late in life, you can sort of spread out and start identifying what associates more with you, and you collect less junk. Spend more money on stuff that you actually enjoy. Because I've seen that with a lot of people, they want to give away their collection maybe 1 or 2 years or 3-4 years into collecting because they've picked up too much stuff and they don't have space to store it. So yeah, I got in very late into collecting CDs, but this was the first one, and one particular copy that I'm very proud of. I have it. It's this one. It's the Con self-titled, and this was a first press American one. I didn't know what presses were until my friend told me, who brought it here. So this basically came out the first edition that or the press that the label released. So yeah, owning CDs is also pretty nice. It feels good.
Physical media in that sense is very like it gives you a sense of ownership in that sense. Like you can't really experience that with digital media. So download and just play, but physical media you can like. For me, a lot of the importance for physical media comes from the booklets, or in I think the case of the people who collect vinyl, the whole insert that is there, right, plays a big part to enhance the experience of the album, in my view. Think because that's how you go across like the whole lyrics and everything. It's the whole package. That same thing you can't get from a digital media, in my view.
Yeah.
I think
Arman, what are your gateway bands?
Let me see. Black Sabbath, Deep Purple, I saw it from there. And then 2012, I think I went for Gujira. That was a nice show. I got Periphery after. Made a couple of friends, and then I ended up joining the scene. For me, I guess my gateway band would be Cryptid in the Indian metal scene. They're this really good death metal band.
Yeah.
From Chennai, pretty much all of the Chennai scene. From there, I guess I started listening, and then I moved to Pune. So I got to catch a different side of things.
Yeah.
And that was pretty interesting as well. So, but I think my gateway band, yeah, Black Sabbath, any day. I got into death metal pretty late, I'd say, like old school death metal. But I started off with black metal and then moved to the regular Lamb of God, whatever. And then from there, I got into Doom. And yeah, now I listen to primarily Doom and old school and black, old school death and black. That's about it. Yeah.
Cool.
Sleep is another gateway band, I'd say. Maybe Sleep, Black Sabbath.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
So this friend of mine introduced me to Devorment, Sleep, Obituary, and these few other bands when I was
Okay.
getting into the scene. So I think Devorment, Sleep, Obituary, not so much, but I'd say Slayer, of course. I mean, when I got into the scene, there was one band that influenced a lot of the Chennai scene. Slayer, At the Gates. At the Gates was mentioned before. A lot of Chennai was influenced by At the Gates, primarily Slaughter of the Soul. If you go to any person who was active during a specific period, for sure they'd mention this. I guess three people from 2010 to 2014. There's a lot of metalcore that came out of Chennai, so a lot of the bands had that. Yeah, I guess that another band that I guess Chaos. I think Chaos is another band that was a gateway band for sure.
Yeah.
Chaos
Guys
from
were very
Kerala?
sweet. Yeah. The guys were
Oh.
sweet guys, and yeah, I think one thing they do is they treat you like family immediately. So once you get to know them, and I think that's pretty nice, especially when you're trying to enter a scene and this and that. Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. We should. That reminds me. We should do one more. Next topic should be gatekeeping in the metal community. Is it a good thing or a bad thing?
So, like, now that's a Kirik topic, bro.
Yeah, I
That's
swear.
a pure Kirik topic.
This is like, come on, like this is introduction, and then straight up you're going for a nuking wala.
Okay.
That is Teacher's
I have a
favorite topic,
question.
I
I
think.
have a question. Is abusing, if you're an elitist and you don't like core, is abusing the core band when they're playing and you're like in the crowd, is that okay or is that not?
No,
Because
it's not okay.
No, God, no.
I don't think that works for any band.
I don't think, unless you're Pentagram. The Bombay Pentagram, if they're playing on stage, it's totally okay to abuse the shit out of them. Nobody else. No other bands.
Or Brahma.
Or Brahma. Yes, sorry. Brahma is fine. You can abuse them all you want.
I mean, Brahma, you'd want to jig to them, no? You'd,
Cool. Okay. I think we can wrap this up for today. Okay. Fuck, this has been a lot of fun, actually. Some good insights, some good discussions. Overall, good fun. I will do the edits and put this up on YouTube for the world to see. Or for the rest of the Kirik gang to see.
This is a very nice intro before the batting starts, I feel. Like, this is just like the first pilot episode that is happening.
Yeah. Next episode onwards, we should just pick like controversial topics and go with it.
Does Lamb of God suck or not? Are they overrated?
Cool.
Can't bat the BOA lineup right now.
What? Oh yeah, no. Do you guys want to talk about the BOA lineup?
Yeah. First off, who else coming actually? Who else gonna be at the gig?
I am
at the gig, go.
Gateway band there, right there. Call back. What are your thoughts on the lineup? Let's put this up.
I know, a little disappointing, I guess.
Yeah.
For me, it's like
overall,
Creator's okay. But I saw them last time they were here, so I'm not going to shell out that much money to see them again. And apart from that, not really interested in any of the other international bands. I want to see Moral Collapse, but I'll wait for for a club gig. But yeah, that's about it.
Yeah,
for me, it's different. Like, I would pay 5K just to watch In Flames. As I said, Yesterday and Flamin are the two albums that got me from listening to metal to playing metal. Right. So I think just for In Flames, I would happily pay 5K.
Yeah.
So then there's bands you guys might know this, but bands like Zignema, Moral Collapse, I've gotten to them recently in the last few months. I'm excited to watch them live as well. I was like, what, maybe I was 10 years old when Creator last came. They came in which year? 2014, right? BOA 14.
That must have been 12 or 11.
Yeah, I was like 10 years old at that time. So yeah, obviously wasn't in the scene. So yeah, I think every band except Anchor, I'm excited to watch every single band at BOA. So me and three other guys have already booked tickets.
Cool.
Nice,
Okay.
nice.
Yeah.
Grandmaster Faizan,
What, bro?
thoughts on
I'm
the
not
lineup?
sure, like GK, that I watched Creator. I don't mind watching them again, but feels a bit heavy for one band for me personally. Maybe
I
one
think
or two more bands.
gone a lot more in the modern.
Like how all the previous editions had, right? There were at least two hard hitters
Yeah.
that made it all worth it. Almost every edition has had hard hitters.
I think
This time it's making me think, let's see how it goes.
Yeah.
So you all are
Watched
not.
it once. I don't mind watching it again. I mean, I would love to watch them again. It's not like I don't mind, but it's giving me a lot of thinking because of one band and how much it costs. It's a big festival, right? But
Yeah.
but for me, it boils down to one band among the international artists, that is, and that is what is making me think. At least one more hard hitter. I would have gone for it.
Change now, but
Yeah.
you know, like the first of a 2-day fest, I think. I mean, for me, as I said, like I'm hyped for In Flames, Creator, Moral Collapse, Zignama, again, a good live band for sure, but it's like the rest of the band I've seen a lot more, right? Like Zignama I've seen like a couple of times, Cryptos I've seen like 4 or 5 times. A lot of these bands I've seen so many times, and then there's like other bands which I'm not that interested in, right? I'm sure like for some people, Decapitated is also a big
Oh yeah.
factor for
My
getting.
my entire friend group is excited to see Decapitated. Everybody freaked out when they announced that band.
Now that's
Like,
what like a lot of my friends as well. Like when they heard Decapitated was announced, and they were announced like fairly early, right?
So
yeah.
it seems like there's a mixed response. On one side, there's a certain group that is excited about it, and on the other side, there's a whole bunch of people that are
on the fence.
on the fence or
Gatekeepers.
disappointed. I've seen both the segments.
Again, you know, this also goes back to the whole gateway part. You know, if the band was a big part of your listening experience, like as I said, in my case, it was In Flames, Creator also in the like second half of it. You go about it. Then for me, it was for sure I need to watch them. Even if the band doesn't really like specifically in the case of In Flames, even if they don't play the melodic death metal part of it as much, it's just an experience in terms of, you know, that one band which helped you shape your style and everything, you know.
That was Cryptopsy for sure.
Oh yeah,
Gig, which unfortunately got canned.
Unfortunately,
All the people that were underwhelmed by the BOA lineup were madly excited about the Cryptopsy.
About Cryptopsy, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
That would have been a hell of a gig.
And that was supposed to be a new gig, right?
Again, they're a core band now, right? They're proper core.
Yeah, they've gone through several different eras, where from brutal death grind.
I think the new album, they're sort of back to a more brutal side of things.
Yeah.
See, that's the same thing, right? That happened with In Flames' new stuff. Is like now what they've done is like now that they've gone through each and every era, this I think is also applicable to Cryptopsy. They're now just fusing everything which worked for them in each style. I think that's why it's also like feeling like they're going Cryptopsy in that sense is going back to them more.
It's I believe this is the only festival here, right, in all of India that does heavy metal, and once a year,
consistently for sure.
Yeah,
major
and
shout out to that for sure.
Just one aspect that I took into consideration while picking up the tickets was all these bands that are headlining have been around from the 90s or maybe early 2000s.
Yeah,
For
90s,
example,
early 2000s.
yeah, your Vatane's been around, I think, from 95, 96 or earlier. I might be wrong. Your Decapitated's about 96, 97 onwards, and In Flames, we all know it's an old band. And what's the other one?
Creator. Yeah.
Yeah, Yeah, that's another thing I wanted to tell you guys. Like, I've never heard the creator before this. Like, I never used to listen to them, and that goes takes me to the gatekeeping, topic where sometimes certain people turn you off of bands which are great just because of their attitude.
Yeah.
You wouldn't want to go listen to them because
Yeah.
you associate a band with unpleasant people
Yeah.
or unpleasant experiences. But
True.
yeah, listening to them off late, they're pretty good. They're actually fast, heavy. So yeah, I mean, if you get to watch these four acts in one place, along with a host of Indian bands,
Why not?
it should be all right. I mean,
Yeah.
I
wouldn't be
think
that bad an experience.
first time I'm hearing someone gatekeeping creator, dude. Like, very surprised. Because a lot of the bands, I think a lot of people here, at least as far as I'm in Bombay, like a lot of them review like creator to a great like degree.
Or like, as in deify them is what you're talking about. People who do
Not to
that.
that extent, but if someone's speaking like German thrash, creator is the first name that comes to their mind. Then it goes into destruction and the others.
Okay.
At least from
Over here, it's completely opposite. If you're not KVLT enough, I mean, at least when I started out, it was more like if you're not cult enough, you shouldn't be a fan of Sodom. You shouldn't be a fan of Creator, and go listen to your Linkin Park or new metal or whatever metalcore, all that stuff. So yeah, that's how it started. But once, like I said earlier, you need to mature sometimes and grow beyond these certain insecurities that you develop. Your local scene, as much as it inspires you, can also put you off of a lot of things. Like, you might be a person who wants to listen to thrash metal, and your friends, your near circle is all into grindcore. So they'll all be like, hey man, why you want to listen to this trash stuff? Listen to some extreme grind, or vice versa. So, yeah, live gigs are a good place to actually catch up on these bands if you haven't ever heard to them before.
festivals like these are definitely doing the job of getting new people to the scene. Like, for example, like Adi was
Right
just
now with the internet era, I don't think that should be a big problem. I think everything is out there. You can say screw you to everyone and do your own thing, do your own
absolutely.
exploration and research. How long do we wait for others and the local scene to have an impact and influence on where your listening goes and how it evolves? So
It's a
everything
primal
is out
human
there.
behavior. It comes down to some primal instincts like validation and stuff. When you're a teen, that's a very important thing.
No, not just
Uh,
at not
I know, I
just at
understand that.
teenage years. Also, I think for like a genre that prides itself on so much individuality, like
mm,
Yeah,
metal, there's a very strong herd mentality at the same time, right? We all
yeah.
There's always like this one. There's the KVLT stuff. There's like other stuff. If you like this one band XYZ, then everybody needs to like that particular band, or everybody has to like a particular genre. That
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's like a weird what do you call it,
But
dichotomy.
Tutorial
I
mentality.
agree. I agree it can have an influence in your teenage years, but you should grow out of it eventually.
Hmm.
Like how GK says, metal is what it is about, like individualism, and it teaches you how you should think for yourself, how you can stand up for
I,
yourself
yeah,
and have
I
your
think
own opinions and ideas.
yeah, I think
But
once we
I always thought like metal didn't give a shit about other people's opinions and all. It's
That's
surprising
fair.
to listen.
only if you're in it for long enough. Yeah, I think
Yeah.
early
Yeah,
on, like when we're getting into it, all of our
Mm.
opinions are shaped by the crowd. No,
Yeah.
it's
yeah.
only like
yeah,
once
yeah.
we've
The surroundings.
had enough experience to have our own opinions that you're like, no, fuck this shit. I'm not going to listen to this band, and I listen to whatever I want to. Types.
Mhm.
Yeah,
The
Mm.
and that
surroundings,
takes a
the
lot of time.
surroundings can be a good influence on showing you what exists,
Yeah,
but
this should
they
actually
don't
be a
necessarily.
whole new topic.
Yeah,
This is why I
Yeah,
say
like for example, I started in 2013 from school time. I started with Children of Bodom, and So it was mostly melodic death metal. So for the first 5 years, I've never listened to albums as such in entirety. Like 5 years lost without listening to a single album entirely. So after that, I made some friends in the community, and then that's when I started sort of exploring music properly. Till then, it was more like singles, just listen to a few songs here and there, some greatest hits and all. Over a wide range of genres, yes, but yeah. So I think that surroundings thing is a good point.
Lakshman, you sort of made a very interesting point, and this is something something we can also go back to in the first topic of what we were discussing. Like the albums part of it, like that's what sort of caught my ear right now. What was that like one album which you guys like for the first time heard front to back? Because at least in my case, a lot of the time I used to like hear songs of an album, but never the album front to back. That sort of culture started very late in my journey for that matter. But what was like that one album which made you suddenly feel like I should listen to this front to back, then sort of go auto censored?
Holy Diver.
Lovely.
Cool.
Muted, audio muted.
Oh yeah, that was the first one. Top to start to finish, top to the bottom. Yeah.
For me, I think it was Cryptos. So I used to download a lot of torrents, and there was this album called Coils of Apollyon or something. The black color cover with a skull thing.
Yeah, the third album.
That was like the first album I listened to end to end.
Cool.
Till then, I always just think albums had a lot of fillers and all, so it didn't make sense for me to listen to albums.
What about Faizan?
Well, what are we talking about?
What was like
the one
first
album front to back?
You listen albums front to back?
Most of the ones in the early years were front to back. I can remember Rain and Blood being one of them. Awesome. I can remember Helloids being one. So for me, what happened was initially I used to listen to albums only. It was only when I got the internet, I was overwhelmed with what was there out there and the amount of bands there were there. So that was when I had a small phase of, say, I don't know for how long. That's when I used to listen to individual songs than the albums. But that faded away soon, and I went back to listening to albums again.
Okay.
I think I'm going to totally date myself with this question. But yeah, it's always been like only albums. Yeah, I started listening to streaming about 4 or 5 years ago, thanks to my wife who introduced me to Apple Music. And now I'm like totally addicted to streaming, and I make my own playlists and shit. But yeah, otherwise it was always like full albums. I think Deep Purple, Shades of Deep Purple, Alice Cooper's School's Out. Those were my first two. Then Master of Reality, Guns N' Roses, Appetite for Destruction. Like when Shashank was talking about Kiss, that album I remembered. So they used to absolutely love Guns N' Roses, but I can't listen to any of their songs anymore. Like, yeah, it just doesn't work for me now at all. But 8th standard, 9th standard, fuck, Guns N' Roses were like my favorite all-time band. Yeah. But
it's like again like sort of a very popular band at the time. For each era, I think that's like that has happened. Because I see even like certain kids were like, oh, I've heard of Guns N' Roses a lot, but then eventually like their material is not something that those same kids will go back to much. I think that's a pattern that I've seen a lot. What about you, Arman? Like, if you were the kind of guy who always spun an album like front to back, or was there one album that got you into that?
So I guess YouTube just played music, bro, before Spotify. Whatever played would play. Whatever didn't play wouldn't play. That's all. Like as basic as that. Like I think that's why I got into a lot of other kinds of music as well. Like my YouTube is pretty much just dungeon synth and weird psych right now. So that's really nice. I use Spotify for my metal, So I just listen to stuff I can't find on Spotify. I use YouTube for, but now I listen to like mostly non-metal on YouTube and most of my metal on Spotify, unless I'm looking for something very specific or something. Because I think a lot of metal albums you can't find on YouTube, and it's annoying playing with the ads. So premium just makes it very easy. Like that's one thing, and YouTube gives me really good recommendations. So like this in general for music though compared to Spotify, I think Spotify is pretty good uh if you're getting into a genre. I think they're pretty good at giving you what you want. For Dungeons in Spotify is really good. Like suggests a lot of nice obscure artists, but it's not like YouTube. Like YouTube will see what you have played and what a lot of other people that have played, and then out of that 10% they'll recommend you one really good album. I think YouTube has that really nice algorithm, especially if you follow these smaller channels with under like 2,000, 3,000 subscribers. Those ones that put out a lot of nice stuff, very nice to follow.
Because like question sort of popped in my head because like nowadays, as you guys like said, right, like Spotify, streaming services, and all of this stuff, right? So the patience of a lot of the people who either discover metal in today's generation or more recent to this, it's a lot more song based than album based, right? Like since we were discussing about gateway metal bands and everything, and even like when you look at that, a lot of the listeners today are more song based than album based. And only now I'm seeing like a lot of people who go into this and then they discover like this one album which suddenly made them go like, wow, like this entire album is like all killer, no filler sort of thing. I think that ironically was for me South of Heaven by Slayer. Slow, doomy and grimy at the same time in that sense, but something which I never skipped front to back ever.
Cool.
So I use streaming just to stream the albums that I don't have. Or that I would not have bought yet. Nothing else.
In my case, I don't use streaming services at all, dude. Like YouTube is one thing. I don't have Spotify. For me, instead, I import
YouTube.
CD music to my phone if I want to listen to. So all of my music is just CDs at this point, whatever I own, or YouTube recommendations.
Is it like looked down upon to stream or something? Because for people who get into collecting late, that's the only medium, right?
No, not at all. I don't think so.
Easy. No, to be honest, it has made exploration so easy.
Yeah.
You should all take benefit of that.
Like finding new bands and listening to my favorites. I use streaming for everything.
And for that matter, even Bandcamp. Like Bandcamp has an extreme plethora of bands if you want to go into the newer bands that are coming about, right? Spotify I don't use because I think one time my account got hacked and then I was like, I don't want to deal with this because then I got like a Bhangra mix on my Spotify playlist and I was like, what is this? So that
but
stuff.
At least that's the story you told everybody, no? My account got hacked. That's why I have this Bhangra playlist on my Spotify.
I don't think I ever like did that, but yeah, that's something that weird shit that happened, and I just switched off like Spotify, and then I just went to YouTube and everything. Easier, and the other thing is with as I said, it's either YouTube or Bandcamp for me nowadays. Much more accessible and like CDs that you're anyways going to look out for. Streaming in that sense is still very helpful because you can now screen out what albums do you really want to buy in the long run, since it's become a luxurious commodity at this point.
And when did music start getting associated with these music videos? What was the earliest you guys have seen? I mean, that I think is now the thing, right? All music is associated with one video. And so it's just that one single that is released as a very costly video.
I think that has always been there, right?
Yeah, since MTV, I guess. MTV was what, 80s, sometime in the 80s.
Back then it was actually music TV, I guess. How it is Masala.
When MTV first came, yeah. When MTV first came. For metal, it was Headbangers Ball. That's when we started seeing, what do we call it? Yeah, metal videos on TV.
Okay.
But I think second PU, that is like 12th standard when Load came out, because there was such a long wait right between Black Album and Load. MTV had actually announced beforehand when the first video was Until It Sleeps from Load. So the MTV was hyping it up, saying Until It Sleeps is going to premiere at this particular time on this particular day types. So a friend of mine actually sat up, waited for it, recorded it on VHS, and then we all went to his house the next day to watch the video. But yeah, that was still cable TV days.
I think music videos, I think I've always, like, since I'm a YouTube guy, essentially, like in my case, I didn't have a lot of this like struggle that you guys had with the cable TV and everything. Since by the time I got into metal, YouTube was
No, I
already.
mean, it wasn't a struggle, right? Now it sounds like
Now it sounds like a struggle to
like
us,
a struggle, yeah. But
but for you
like, yeah,
guys,
back then that was it.
That was
Like, I
exciting
mean,
and something
having
to look
and
forward
having
to.
cable TV and VCR that you could record your TV programs off was like a luxury back then.
back then
Which
even
was,
movies
yeah,
were
not
rented,
all of
right?
us had it.
Even movies were rented, and you had these shops
Yeah,
which
yeah.
out music series and all, movie series and all. But I think like the first real video that blew me away and made me associate like as music video for a key part with music was one by Metallica. Like that was the first metal music video that I had seen.
Oh, okay.
Very like in your face and everything. And back then, again, a lot of the music videos that were coming about for music on TV was a lot of like pop and a lot of filtered stuff and all. Like nothing against the genre. Like there are good stuff that are in that genre umbrella as well. But one was that video that made me really understand like that's the visual power of what can be shown with like the music that has been written.
Wow. For me, it was Marilyn Manson, Beautiful People.
Oh yeah.
I was like, holy shit, that was some video.
Initially, I was very disturbed when I saw it, but then I
Mm.
ended up like warming up to it big time.
Okay, now we've completely digressed
Yep.
and gone all over the place to like some 3-4 other full-length topics actually.
That's like
So,
the video contents you have now.
yeah, that's what I'm thinking in my head. Like, oh my God, there's so much content that I'm missing out on because we are talking about everything on this one channel or on this one meeting. Sorry.
Meeting.
Yeah. Chalo, then should we wrap it up?
Yep. This was a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. It was great talking to you guys. Yeah. Thanks for
Thanks for
coming in
having
on a
us.
weekday. Cheers. Catch you all on the group. Yep. Okay. Thanks. Bye.